But before we transition over to the NFL here, we got another highlight game breakdown. And this is a game where I think you and I both have a little bit stronger of an opinion on this one. This is game 133, 134, a noon Eastern time kickoff coming up on Saturday between Navy and Tulane. Tulane, 8-point favorite, seeing some 8.5s out there in the market as well. Total of 49 or 49.5 for this one. I'll let you have the floor first, but I think both of us kind of have a similar mindset on this game.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the total because I think that's kind of interesting. I believe this total is set pretty low considering, we know both of these two teams are kind of option offenses, but they do it differently. Tulane runs the spread option. It's not the same as Army and Air Force and Navy and those type of teams. So this is not one of those where the military schools play against each other. They pretty much stop each other easily, and you just bet the under every single year. I don't think that applies here. Last year's final between these two teams was 41-38. The year before was 29-28. So we've had points in these games in the past. I will say, I'm not saying I love the over in this game. Navy couldn't even move the ball against BYU, but I do think that I'd be hesitant about just betting this one down too low on the under. So both teams run the option not the same way, so they don't practice it every single day or get to go against what they see here from the other offense. To me, this is a really big reaction from Navy's game one. Look, both of us understand that you have to react in some way from losing that way. However, you could argue that BYU is just a pretty good team, and I think they probably are a good team. Navy didn't even hit before that first week, and I know Niumatalolo talked about that, and you could tell. I mean, their defense was really bad in that game. Tulane, maybe they're getting a bit too much credit for beating South Alabama last week in a game that they really should have lost. And I know Tulane has a different offense this year as well with Justin McMillan moving on. I don't really think Tulane is set to be a great team. At the same time, what are they laying? You said 8.5 points is what you're seeing pretty
Yeah.
much now. 8.5. My line's 4.5 in this one. I don't really want to bet Navy, but I might have to bet Navy. This is one of those where I'm going to see what happens throughout the week because I don't see that this number is going to go down quickly or anything. I mean, I can't think most people are going to be too excited to bet Navy. And that's where maybe we wait for a better market entry place. Maybe we see 9.5 or 10 points in this game. I don't think it's out of the question, because not many people are going to want to bet Navy. People who don't make PRs, people who aren't professionals here, they're not going to want to bet Navy after what they saw in that first game. So I think that's important to remember as well. I think that both of these teams are a bit of an unknown. Like I said, Tulane has different players on offense. I think Tulane's better on defense than what they were last year. Their defensive line was disappointing. But, Tulane, I don't know that they'll be quite as good on offense. They have a good offensive coordinator. Navy's a better team than what they showed in that first game. And you know that with a really good coaching staff, they're really going to work on them from that first game to this game. So I'd be really hesitant to lay the points in this game. The only way I could play this one is Navy plus the points.
Yeah, I like Navy in this spot too. My line, Tulane -4. So both of us, quite a bit lower than the market on this one, getting numbers like 6 and 7 in the equation. So yeah, I do like Navy in this spot. And like you said, I mean, this feels like a massive overreaction, especially because it's also going to be put into the context of look what Army is doing. Look what the other service academy is doing with two dominant blowout wins over Middle Tennessee and Louisiana Monroe. And whether it's fair or not, people are going to compare that to what Navy did in their first game, where BYU is a much better team than both MTSU and ULM. But Navy, like you said, they weren't hitting. They had this very strange lead up to the season that didn't work out for them. Well, now they've got basically 2 full weeks of practice. Tulane, they just played last weekend. So I don't know if there's any kind of hangover. Maybe that helps them being a little bit crisper. I don't really know. But what I do know is that a very good head coach in Ken Niumatalolo has had 2 weeks to practice with his team, get ready for this game, figure out who the heir apparent is to Malcolm Perry. This line's just too big to me. And also, you look at this total of 49, and I know you just kind of made something of a case for looking at the over based on the last 2 years. But when I think Navy games, I think limited numbers of possessions. Tulane likes to run the football a lot too, as you just talked about. There's maybe 14 combined possessions in this game, something like that. And I'm getting a team +8 in a game with a relatively low by college football standards total. I'm going to have to play Navy here. I'm not in a rush to do it because I want to see if I can get as many points possible out of this line. But I think this line is too high. I think this is a classic case of an overreaction. And again, I think from a game flow standpoint, as long as Navy's moving the football, they shorten the game. And in that situation, the more points, the better. So I do like Navy here in this game coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, as far as what the market's going to do in this one, I guess I'll ask you, what do you think this line will get to? And do you think this might be one of those spots where I kind of see this line maybe going up a bit, and then if it gets to 10, it gets bought back because somebody's going to take Navy if this gets up to 10. So I think you want to watch this one pretty closely throughout the week because it could be one that inches up, gets to 9.5 or 10, and then we see it drop pretty hard. What do you think?
Yeah, the only thing that's concerning to me is that it is going up a little bit early in the week, which suggests that somebody's set of power ratings out there does have this number quite a bit higher than I do. But I do think that there will be buyback on this number because, again, like we just talked about, this feels like a clear-cut overreaction. I don't know what this look-ahead line would have been coming into the season or anything like that. What I can tell you is before I adjusted Navy down after their week one showing, I probably would have had them a slight favorite here, maybe -1 on the road at Tulane. So, I mean, if you factor traditional home field advantage in, maybe Tulane's -2, something like that. But in this COVID climate, this one's probably Navy -1 or a pick 'em for me before I make a Navy adjustment. So I think that this line probably ultimately comes down as the week goes along. But right now, seeing it go up a little bit has caught my attention.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think this line would have probably been about pick'em. So, I mean, that's a pretty big change from pick'em to 8.5. Like you said, you go through 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 even is a fairly important number. So, I mean, these are numbers that could hit pretty often. And like you said, with a low total to start with, less possessions, it's quite a few points.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we got a consensus opinion here. It looks like both of us liking the Navy side here in this Navy versus Tulane game. And as Kyle said, they're a very interesting total for us to follow throughout the week as well.